Hey y'all, I hope you're doing well. So recently I got a question on one of my videos on how to not only fix like the edges of your blanket, but then also how to fix how to create a border. And I already have a video on my channel in regards to how to fix your edges. If you haven't checked that out, this is what the thumbnail looks like for that video. But I wanted to say and show how to do a quick border. Now there are tons of ways that you can do a border for a blanket, but I'm going to give you 4 quick ones. So if you've done a blanket and you want to put a border on it, let me show you how I go about doing that. So first thing you're going to want to do is just attach the yarn to the end of your blanket. So if you finished it off, you're done with it and you want to start a border, I usually go back in with either the same color that's in the blanket or a contrasting color. It just depends on how much yarn you have left and what color scheme you're going for. But I just tie the yarn to the end or the corner. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. I got it on the wrong corner. But you'll just tie it on the corner and then you're going to work along the edge of the blanket. Okay. So once I get this flipped over, I'm going to show you exactly how to start a shell stitch. Now, I will say if you find that your blanket is completely wavy and uneven, I would check out my how to fix my crochet edge video first, do those steps, and then come back in and do a border. So go ahead and make a chain of 3, and into the very first stitch, that's where we're going to start our shell stitch. So you'll be doing shell stitches either with a double crochet stitch or a half double crochet stitch, but in this case I'm going to show you it using a double crochet stitch. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to do a double crochet stitch, which you've probably done that a ton of times in your blanket creation. You'll do a double crochet stitch 3 times in the same exact stitch, and that's going to kind of make a shell. Okay, now remember, if you are making a blanket with a half double crochet stitch, for instance, you do not have to do a double crochet stitch in order to create your shells. Don't try not to overcomplicate it for yourself. You're really just wanting to make your edges look nice and neat and blended. So this is what it would look like with a double crochet stitch. But again, you can always do a half double crochet stitch and have the same type of look. So go ahead and find your next stitch and let's continue to work. Now you're going to just do 3 either double crochet stitches or half double crochet stitches into the same space. That's the main thing that you want to do in order to get a shell look. Again, now if your blanket is really wavy, you want to check out the other video to fix your edges before you do your border. So see how it looks? It kind of clusters the stitches together and it makes it kind of look wavy. So that's one way of doing it. So this is what it looks like on the Bernat blanket yarn, that thick bulky yarn. Here is another version on a 5 bulk yarn. See how it kind of has that wave appeal to it? That's a really cool border, and it really looks cool if your edges aren't that even. So give that a try. So basically 3 crochets, stitches in the same stitch, and you just work down your sides. Okay, so I'm going to put this stitch marker here because I'm going to show you something just a little bit different. If you don't want to do 3 double crochet stitches, say you're working with this bulky yarn and it looks too bulky, you can do 2 double crochet stitches in each stitch. So instead of doing 3, you can do 2. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll alternate between the 2. So I'll do a shell stitch, then I'll do 2 double crochet stitches, and the next one a shell stitch, and then 2. So kind of working in between those 2 so that I don't have too many stitches. It doesn't make the blanket look too bulky. So that's just a quick idea on how to add a border to a blanket. So instead of, like I say, instead of 3, you'll just do 2. So it's not anything too much. And especially if you don't have a lot of leftover yarn and you don't want to go buy a whole new skein, you don't want to add too many more stitches because of course you're going to need more yarn. So kind of work with what you already have, and then you can kind of create that border and kind of give the project a little bit more shape to it, especially if you find that it's not all the way even. So this is what it looks like. So it's not that big of a difference between the 3 and the 2, but I particularly love to do a mixture of them. So I'll do a shell stitch, and then I'll just might do 2 in the next, a shell stitch, like that. So it kind of gives it some variation, but in between the stitch marker, basically there's that right there is the shell stitch, and right next to it is just the 2. So that gives it a nice little border. And again, I use a contrasting color so that it kind of stands out a little bit. Okay, so one other option would be to do a double crochet stitch and with a skip a stitch in between. I'll show you that, but that was just another suggestion that I made, and I'm going to show you that here too. So do a double crochet stitch, okay, and then you'll just do a chain of 1. You would skip the next stitch, and in the following stitch you would do another double crochet stitch. So basically, as the screen says, you'll do a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and then another double crochet stitch. And I'll show you it again. So you chain 1, and then you'll skip that stitch and go into the next one, making a double crochet. And again, you can use a single crochet stitch or a half double crochet stitch. It's not that you have to do a double crochet, it's just what I'm showing you so I can give you the best illustration of what it would look like, okay? All right. And you just continue doing that all the way across, down the side, the bottom, and the other side, and that will give you a nice little border as well. And I kind of like this one too. It's not as frilly, but it does have a different look to it. Again, using different color yarn or even the same yarn, it kind of just breaks up the regular pattern, whatever pattern you were using, to give yourself a nice little border. Okay, so then there, right there, that's just 3 different types of borders. You have the shell stitch, I'm sorry, I'm going the opposite direction. You have like the straight line stitch that has the gap in between. You can have the 2 double crochet stitches, and then you can have a shell stitch. And this is what the gap one looks like, the one I just showed you, on a different type of yarn. So just giving you an idea of how that will look. I used the V stitch to create this little swatch, and then I just did the double crochet, skip a stitch, double crochet. So it looks really pretty, I think, and it's a different look. So that's 3 ways of doing a border. Now, and again, you can do so many others. This is just a quick way of doing a border on a blanket. This is what it looks like just from a different angle. If you're looking at it from bottom up as opposed to top down, but that's how it could look depending on which one you decide. Now, here's one more quick one. This is like a little small bonus. If you wanted to, you could have a different color yarn and just do either a slip stitch or a single crochet stitch. Either one of those would make for a nice border, okay? So you can either do a slip stitch, which is what I'm showing you right there, or you could do a single crochet stitch, which is right here. See? And either one of those will give you a nice border. You just change the color of the yarn. It evens up your project a lot, and it's just another way of kind of finishing off your work to make it look a little bit more finished, a little bit more tailored, a little bit more complete, and that's what that looks like. So anyway, that's it. This is a really quick video. I just wanted to give you guys some ideas. Actually, this is for a specific viewer, but I hope that everyone that needs to look at this can benefit from it. But that's just quick border ideals for any blanket, but this is for the this one works really well on the chunky yarn blanket as well. Okay, that's it, guys. I will see you in my next video. Again, just keep your questions coming. I try to answer them as much as I can as I see them, and then if I can do a video tutorial, I will definitely do that so that you guys kind of have an idea on how to just keep doing the crochet projects that you really enjoy doing. So this one is perfect, and then if you want to check out the other one I showed you in the beginning of the video on how to fix your edges, that is a very helpful video, I think, if you have like a wavy situation going on. Okay, guys, I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.